What is up, guys? Welcome to another round of the Wicked Crazy tournament to determine who will be the Wicked Crazy Pinfalls champion. Now, I am not Tad Predicts, as you can clearly see. He was not able to be here today, so I have been asked to fill in his spot for this, which I'm more than capable of. I don't have a ref shirt, unfortunately, so you're going to have to make do. But with me here, the Sloanzilla, Jim Sloan. How are you doing, man?
I'm hanging in there, man. Feeling good. How about you?
I'm doing good. It is sunny here. It's warm. We had like a crap ton of rain yesterday for about 20 minutes, and my windshield wipers decided, hey, we're gonna have the rubber come off while you're driving home. So I had to change that. So I had to get them changed, but I got a good deal on wipers. Like I replaced them both for under $20. So
yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah, that's good. So you're here, and you're going up against Throwback's friend Angel for AEW Fight for the Fallen, this is their third annual event under the same name. They typically take the gate receipts and donate them all to charity. The last couple of years, it's been for victims of gun violence. They haven't announced who it's for this year, and it's looking like it's going to be.
I couldn't find it.
Yeah, nothing has been announced for it yet. I would assume that's probably going to be the same thing. And that may be a thing that gets announced like the day of the show or gets announced at the show or gets announced after. I mean, who knows? But yeah, it's looking like it's a pretty good card. I was taking a look at it. There are 5 matches on the card right now. They could always add something to it, obviously. And so if they announce something before the show, then you and Angel will secretly send in your pick for that match to Tad, who will take that into account. If they happen to do a thing where all of a sudden the show is going on and then we just get a random match, I'll let Tad decide if he wants to add that or not. But for right now, we got 5 matches to talk about. But before we get to them, how are you feeling about AEW so far? What's your history with it, and is there anything in particular you're looking forward to for this super card?
So yeah, I was excited when they started talking about AEW. Being a huge WWE fan going back to late '80s, early '90s. I mean, I can't put a finger on it, but I tell people all the time, like, and my memory might be shot, but I remember being a little kid at the Garden watching Taker versus Shawn Michaels in Boston. I don't know why, but that sticks in my head. So sure. I go that far back. And watching Raw, watching through the Attitude Era, watching through the Ruthless Aggression Era. And then, AEW is not loaded with former WWE guys, but of course, you've got Cody, who kind of stands out. You got Chris Jericho, who's tied to WWE. It should be in the Hall of Fame no matter what. So when it started, I was kind of like, this is really exciting. It's cool to see them kind of build to this. And they built it the right way. They didn't just throw money at it out of nowhere. So I was excited to see it start. And there were a couple times I got a little nervous, like, all right, guys, you're not telling stories here. You're just creating a ton of false finishes, and you're creating scenarios where you have these quick stories and you're not really telling a story. And then, oh my God, I'll tell you right now, the day I thought AEW was going to start going down the tubes was the day they brought Miro out the first time. I'm like, what the hell is this? No. And what they're doing with him now, I'm like, thank God.
Oh, yeah.
Let him loose. I love this character. There are times where I'm kind of like, all right, you guys said not that you wanted to be the anti-WWE, but you wanted to be different. And there are times where I'm like, you're not being different. Stop doing what you're doing. But then there are other times where I'm just like, just let these guys go. Like, you have these guys for a reason. Just let them go. And let them do their thing. And I think that with the rumors coming out this week of what's happening,
yes,
sign me up, bro. I watch WWE religiously. I'll follow up on AEW. I won't watch every episode. I'll obviously I watch Fight for the Fallen. I watch the big shows. But I think if those two show up on in New York and then in Chicago, dude, I will watch every week. Like, no hands down, no question.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is for me is it's almost kind of flipped now, where I was watching WWE and I was watching it even all throughout when they were in the PC. And the main reason I was watching them when they were doing stuff in PC was because they had Sasha and Bayley, and those two were they were gold. I mean, it was literally like that's reason enough to watch the show right there, or at least to watch their stuff. And before that, it was Becky and what Becky Lynch was doing.
I can't wait for her to come back. So
Oh,
I'm hoping that they just let her loose in SummerSlam and kick somebody's ass.
Oh yeah, it's just, I mean, fans have made it clear they're ready for her to be back.
Yeah,
they are ready.
They need the injection right now.
Yeah. But then like when they started doing all this Thunderdome stuff, I just was like, I don't care. Like it just was thing was like I don't really care because it's not appealing to me or whatever. And then once NXT got off of Wednesdays and went to Tuesdays, and I was like, okay, now I can actually really give AEW a shot because they're not because for me, I tried watching both shows as they were going on, like what some people were doing, but my ADHD was really kicking in, and I was like, I'm watching both shows and I'm absorbing neither. Right. Like I couldn't tell you what happened. It was a thing where where it's like I would have had to go back and rewatch, and it's like, well, what's the point of watching it the first time? But now that they're off, and now I've been watching AEW, and I did the predictions against Ray Callahan for Double or Nothing, and that was probably the most fun that I've had talking wrestling all year long, was just going over that card and predicting it. And I was like, okay, I really am becoming a fan of this. So I'm very much looking forward to this. So let's get to it. So
I keep looking up, by the way. I have my notes on my second.
Oh no, you're fine. You are good.
See me looking up. I'm just looking at my notes.
You are good. So 5 matches. I'm going to start with what's probably least important going to most important. So that's how we're going to do it. So the first match up is we have got Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus with Christian Cage against the Hardy Family Office, which is Private Party and Angelico. So
I'm intrigued that you put that as least important match on the card. I say second most important, but
so all right. So what makes you think it's the second most important?
Because the person who should get the pin should get the push.
All right. So then So then who do you think is going to win, and who's getting that pin?
So I think Cage, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus are going to win, but I think there's going to be a swerve.
Okay.
I think Jungle Boy should get the push. I think he's earned that, especially after that match with Omega. I mean, like, clearly they're trying to see what kind of push. I mean, plus he looks just like his dad, and his dad was badass. But
as JR likes to remind us,
as a '90s boy, you kind of have to just jump on that. I'm sorry, I'm not a '90s girl, so I'm not like all into him. But I have a feeling they're either going to turn Cage or really hint at it.
Okay.
But I think Jungle Boy is going to get the pin. It's not going to be a straight clean pin. I mean, it should be. I don't think it will be, but I see them getting the win. But I also see a tease or something after the match with Cage. But Jungle Boy needs to get the pin here. I mean, you're looking to push him. And I don't think they're going to put him. I mean, he's not taking the belt off Omega. But, he could be a true contender for TNT. I mean, they could look at pushing him in some other fashion. But he needs a push right now after that. Because after what he just did with Omega, I mean, it's not that far back. You have to keep that train rolling. You can't just let it fall off. You put him there for a reason.
Yeah. It's interesting because you say, you were a 90s kid, and so you watched his dad in 90210. For me, see, I never watched that. So for me, my only reference for him is he's Archie's dad in Riverdale.
Yes, which I never watched.
That is such a good show. I've seen the first, I think it's 3 seasons. I have yet to see the most recent season, just because life has just gotten busy. But I was a big fan of the Archie comics. Like that was the thing where, like, back when I was a kid, those were the comics that you could actually still get in, like, the grocery store. Like you get like the Archie Double Digest or the Betty and Veronica.
Is based on?
Yes, it's based on the Archie.
Okay.
Yes,
I have no idea.
Yes, it's based on the Archie comics, sort of like a darker turn. Like kind of like Archie's Weird Mysteries, except actually darker, because they'll have characters like die or do like horrible things.
Now I want to watch it.
Oh, it's really good. It's on Netflix. It is really good. They got Cole Sprouse from The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody is Jughead, and it's really good.
How much older am I than you? Because I have no idea what you just talked about.
I'm 34.
Oh,
but I was watching Disney Channel right up until like kind of right where That's So Raven and Sweet Life of Zack Cody and Hannah Montana were, and that's kind of when I like really started kind of taper off. And then I was like, this isn't as good as like Even Stevens and Lizzie McGuire and like Famous Jet Jackson. Like that's what I really dug.
I think I was watching like Power Rangers and Alex Mack. I think that was the
Alex Mack was great. I still am a fan of.
I went on a couple of dates with a girl that looked just like her in high school. We used to call her Allie Mack or whatever the name was. I remember she hated it.
Oh, I popped when that actress popped up on an episode of Boy Meets World. She as one of Sean's girlfriends, and then later she came back because Sean, all of Sean's exes tried to convince Angela not to date him.
Yes,
because of all this stuff. Anyway. We can talk about that. We can talk about that another time. So you have Jurassic Express and Christian Cage winning.
Yeah.
And Angel is right there with you. He also picked Christian Cage and Jurassic Express.
Yeah, so I don't think his detail was nearly as clear and consistent as mine. Mine was pretty concise and to the point.
Yes, that's true. All right, so next up we have got Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz with Conan against FTR with Tully Blanchard. This is a match that obviously is part of the whole Pinnacle versus Inner Circle feud that has been going on, which there's another match related to that we'll get to in a few minutes. These are two, the tag team division in AEW, it's stacked. It is ridiculously stacked.
Yeah.
These are perhaps two of the most over teams in AEW, which again is saying something because you've got the Bucks, you've got Best Friends, you have a Jurassic Express. You've got the Dark Order. Like there's so many over teams, but these two are definitely some of the most over. So, what is your thinking for this match?
This was a tough one because here, looking at can we break kayfabe here?
Sure.
Looking at this match, you have to decide, okay, who can afford a loss and who can keep going, getting the loss. Like that's the thing is a lot of these teams. Especially in AEW, the tag team division, if there's one thing they have on WWE right now, it's the tag team division. And it's just crazy how many of these guys have ties to WWE and just WWE doesn't care. But then you put them in AEW and it's like, oh my God, look what they're doing. I think FTR can afford to take the loss here. So I'm going with Santana and Ortiz. I think they need the win more. I think that puts them at the next level. I think they could take the loss, but I think FTR could take the loss here and handle it in the long run. So I think Santana and Ortiz have to get the win, and I think there's going to be some shenanigans with Conan. Obviously, that's just a given if he's sitting at the side.
Yeah, this one now for me, as somebody who's not actually predicting, this is one that I could see going either way because that's just how strong both of these teams are. Both of these teams can take the win, and both of these teams could also take the loss, and it's done pretty uneven because you got Santana, Dan Ortiz, who have been pretty protected throughout the whole time, and you have FTR, who are the former tag champs. This is where you and Angel are already starting to differ because he has FTR down as winning this.
Oh, okay, so basically, so then we just cemented my win. Okay, I just want to know how quickly I'm moving to the second round here, all right?
There you go. All righty. So, next up is the 5 Labors of Jericho, Chapter 2. This is Chris Jericho bringing back the Painmaker from his latter New Japan days against the man who shockingly lost last night against Matt Cardona, no longer the GCW champion, but still just a tough as nails guy, Nick Cage.
Yeah.
This is a no DQ match, and from this point on, no members of Inner Circle can come to Jericho's defense and help him. If so, then the potential match against MJF is off, which of course is the reason why we're getting the labor to Jericho, so that Jericho can eventually get his match with MJF.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about this match? And on a side note, what did you think of the result last night with Matt Cardona beating Nick Gage?
Yeah. So I'm going to touch on that first because I'm a little disappointed in what happened.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the match. I think Cardona winning that match, I'm impressed by that because, for one, his history is not death matches. His history is not hardcore matches. So the fact that he's even willing to step in and do that.
He is a former ECW guy. Let's not forget.
Yeah, but really? Do we really want to open that door?
Hey, people have been saying it. Congratulations to former ECW star Zack Ryder,
Anytime you can throw ECW in there, right? No, it's just the fact that he would even step in the ring and do that and take some of those shots. I mean, going through the pane of glass, my God. I mean, I know it's gimmick glass, but still, that's not. There's still, it's not easy to do.
Yeah.
But then when he won, I was like, okay, it didn't shock me that he won, and I didn't watch it live. I watched it after the fact. It didn't shock me that he won, but I'm disgusted with the people, like absolutely disgusted at what they did. You're throwing bottles. I mean, he just went through hell, and they're throwing bottles out of anger or whatever the situation is. I don't care. It's just like I'm just disgusted with those people. It's disgusting.
Oh, okay. So you're on the Dave Meltzer side, who put out a tweet that got a lot of controversy among people.
Yeah.
Then
well, I didn't read it. What did he say?
So he. Oh well, now I gotta pull it up.
Oh, you brought it up.
Well, I know. I didn't think I was gonna. Hold on. Let me see. It got a lot of attention. All right, let me find out.
Well, I mean, 50% of his tweets get a lot of attention, so.
Yes, that's true. He might have. You know what? He might have deleted it.
I don't. Come on. Delete your tweet.
I don't see it on here now.
No, it wouldn't shock me if he deleted it if he didn't like what was happening. But clearly, he wasn't happy with what happened after the match either. There's one other place I might be able to go. No, but he was definitely not a fan of it. Here we go. All right, because GCW made a T-shirt putting his actual tweet on it that they're selling now. So even if it's deleted, you can now buy the tweet. So what he said is, I'm sure people will make their lame excuses for it, or say how great the heat was. But this crowd reaction was such bullshit and such an embarrassment to the industry. And GCW put it on a shirt. Good for them. And good for him putting it out there. I mean, it's okay. I mean, people might disagree with me, but it's one thing to throw an empty popcorn box or even a full popcorn box. Throwing beer bottles. I don't know.
Well, and that's where I will agree with you. If people are chucking like full stuff or like batteries, as has been done in previous things, like that's not okay. No. But if you're chucking like if you're chucking like empty bottles, or you're chucking
like a plastic bottle of water that's empty or something like that,
right? Or like plastic cups full of like soda or something, and you throw that, like that's fine. That's fine. And then my comment wasn't he a fan of what happened to Hogan at Bash at the Beach? Like, didn't he like when the crowd did that, when he turned and then said, "This is the new world order"? Yeah. And,
I just believe as a fan, you have a responsibility. I mean, kayfabe was busted years ago, so we know what's going on. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, clearly there's some passion behind these guys, and there's some like legit heat behind the scenes with these guys. But at the end of the day, it's a story being told, And if you want to be a part of the story, that's fine. Be a part of the story, but there's no need to intentionally attempt to harm somebody. And if you're throwing a full beer bottle, even an empty beer bottle, which I don't know if that was thrown or not. I could be completely off the mark. It's hard to see in the video. But you have to assume some of that stuff was that or something hard. If your intention is to throw something with the intention to hurt them, then you know what? In my opinion, get the hell out of here.
Yeah. I had a friend who was actually at the show last night, and he said it seemed like everybody, like, they were respecting Cardona's wrestler, and they were just doing it because the crowd was not supposed to like the fact that Cardona won.
No, of course.
So it seemed like the crowd was doing it as like, we are booing this man who, in den character, and not because they actually like legit don't like him. Obviously, there may be some people who may have had a few too many drinks and decided to make it a little too for real. But okay, so anyways, so sidebar to that. So Jericho, Nick Gage, who do you got?
I wish I painted my face for this one because it's got to be the Painmaker. It's got to be the Painmaker. There's just no way. I mean, again, you got to tell the story, and you can't finish the story if you don't have Chris Jericho versus MJF.
Mm-hmm.
You got to finish the story. And now, I'll tell you right now, if Nick Gage somehow wins this match, which is not impossible, there's another way that story is going to be told. They're not just going to forget it. But the easiest path to telling and completing that story is Chris Jericho winning this match.
Yeah. Then Angel agreed with you. He also has picked Jericho. It's interesting because so many of us thought, especially after the announcement of the match last week, where it would be, against Shawn Spears, we all kind of thought, or at least so many of us thought, oh, it's just going to be going up against the 5 members of the Pinnacle. That's what's going to be kind of predictable. So then after Jericho wins the match last week, and then MJF says, hey, here's Nick Gage, and here's who you're going up against. Now
the
it's like
craziest guy in the world right now.
Right. And now it's like, oh, so now it's like it could be anybody. Like Jericho gets through Nick Gage, and it could be anybody. I mean, they could bring out. It doesn't have to be a member of the Pinnacle. And
Bryan Danielson comes out.
We are gonna get to that because that does play into a bonus. But yeah, at this point, you could have MJF grab, I don't know, Josh Alexander, and have him come out.
I kind of hope the rumors aren't true and he has Braun Strowman walk out. I mean, that would suck for Strowman. Like, I don't want to see Strowman in AEW because I think he becomes a one-trick pony there.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's like right now, that's the only thing I can think of happening is pulling him into that quickly. I don't think he fits well in there. I mean, I love him, but I don't think he fits well there. I think he needs to make his way back to WWE. But yeah, this could go any way, but the story has to be told. The only way that story is told is if Chris Jericho wins.
Yeah. So next up, we have got Lance Archer, who just beat Jon Moxley last week to become the new IWGP United States Champion, and he is already defending his title against Bullet Club member Hikuleo, who of course is the brother of Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. This guy looks impressive. Like it's like, oh yeah, you are definitely Tama Tonga's brother. Like, for sure.
But so next to Lance Archer, he looks tiny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who doesn't look?
Yeah.
Paul White won't, but apart from Paul White, who wouldn't look small next to Lance Archer?
He's a big boy.
Yeah, they had. I mean, Lance Archer and Moxley had such a, pardon the pun, dynamite match last week. It was insane. The spot at the end of going through the tables with the barbed wire on it. I mean,
Moxley's just a nut.
Yeah, I mean,
but now a key note too. I believe, and I read this somewhere preparing for this, but I believe that was the first time that title in its 4-year history has ever changed hands in a non-New Japan show.
That is correct, and in a non-New Japan ring, because Moxley has defended it a couple of times before on AEW, but he's always retained. So
yeah,
so now it really is okay. It could change hands again. It's happened once. It could easily change hands again. So, do you think it's going to change hands again, or do you think Lance Archer is going to be able to hold on to it?
So, this is how in depth I went in my research. This is like real life. I checked to see what the restrictions for travel were back to Japan. From Japan.
Okay.
So here's my thinking: the restrictions have been loosened, and if a professional matters, you can travel. So that's the reason why I think Lance Archer is going to hold on to it. If I think if the restrictions were going to be ridiculous, I would think that New Japan, even though they've got New Japan America Raw and stuff like that, I would think New Japan would want it back on a contracted wrestler. Mm-hmm. But I think since the travel restrictions aren't as tight, and he's only had it for 4 days, and he deserves a solid run, I'm going with Lance Archer.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Because my thought was like, he doesn't even need to go to Japan because they've got New Japan Strong. Mm-hmm. Like that is a legitimate show here, and they could do that.
Yeah, I may have overthought it a little bit, but I was kind of like, let me just look at this and see, because if I was running a business, mm-hmm. that's kind of where I would have a mindset of, okay, I need to get this title back, like kind of a little bit, but the restrictions aren't as tight. People can travel. They're building up New Japan America. I think that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
So there's real life things come into play too. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of, I was thinking from a business side.
Mm-hmm. Well, Angel has chosen differently from you. He thinks that Hikuleo is going to win and become the new U.S. champion.
Angel, do you really think that Lance Archer is material for? What do they call it when they put a title on a guy for a week and then
transitional?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Lance Archer is not a transitional champion. He is not that guy. He is not the Miz. Okay, I love the Miz. He is not the Miz. Lance Archer.
Or Charlotte Flair. It
is. That is so frustrating. I love the whole Nikki Ash thing. I love Nikki Cross. I think she's an amazing worker. Mm-hmm. I think there was a different way to do that. I don't, and also, by the way, how do you not count her 2 NXT title runs? She's got 13 championships. Just call it a day.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bury NXT. NXT right now, I mean, if you took Roman Reigns out of the equation, NXT is their best brand.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know, man, but I mean, Charlotte has lost 3 titles to cash in. It's like she's gotten cashed in the most. The one time she didn't get cashed in was when Alexa Bliss cashed in on Nia in the middle of Nia's match against Ronda Rousey. So apart from that, Charlotte's gotten cashed in every time.
Yeah, and the thing that we were talking about before, she can afford to take the loss. That's how she's built. Like John Cena was the first one to cash in and lose.
Yeah.
I mean, he projected it like 18 months in advance, but he told everybody under the sun that what he was doing, which is fine. But he can afford to be that guy, and someone has to be that guy. And of course, that was the guy for it. And she's the same way. But Angel, I don't know, man. Like seriously, from like 1,500 miles away, I want to slap you upside the head. Lance Archer is not a transitional champion.
Wow, cutting fierce promos here. All right, well, that brings us to what is most likely going to be the main event. It's certainly the main event here. It is a 10-man dummy elimination tag. It is of the Elite. So you have the AEW Tag Team Champions, the Bucks, the Impact Tag Team Champions of the Good Brothers, and the Impact, AAA, TNA, then AEW champion Kenny Omega versus Hangman Page and the Dark Order, which here is looking like it is Evil Uno. I'm just going by who's on the picture. It's Evil Uno, John Silver, Reynolds, and I'm not sure who this last guy is, to be honest with you. I'm not. There's so many members of Dark Order that okay, here we go. So Hangman, Adam Page, and Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, then Alex Reynolds. And of course there's a stipulation here. If Page and the Dark Order win, they will receive a future match for Omega's AEW World Championship and the Young Bucks AEW World Tag Team Championship, respectfully. Mm-hmm. If they lose, they cannot challenge for the titles. Now, personally, as a side note, I'm hoping, because the Good Brothers have those Impact titles as well, I'm hoping that before the match happens, that they announce, hey, the other two members of Dark Order, you'll get a tag title shot against the Good Brothers for the Impact tag titles. So because that to me was the whole reason why I thought Good Brothers might win the tag titles at Slammiversary. So they have not in that. So right as of right now, that is not an official stipulation. It's just for the AEW tag titles and the AEW Championship. So, who do you have winning this? Is it going to be the Golden Elite standing tall, or does Hangman get his shot at Kenny?
Hangman's going to get a shot at Kenny. There's no doubt here. It has to happen. So I have a feeling that Hangman's going to be left by himself, and he's going to have to do a lot of work by himself. I think that's a good way to build him up, because you've got to build someone to take down the belt collector, and you've got to build him hard, because you can't just, he's got the most protected finish in the game. I think someone kicked out, like 2 months ago for the first time ever or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, you got to build someone up to take that belt away from him, or at least make it seem like they could take the belt away from him. My one caveat here, and I know it's not going to happen, but it would be so cool, because school starts in 2 weeks, if -1 came out and somehow helped Hangman win the match.
Wait a minute. School starts in 2 weeks for you guys?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. See, my son doesn't go back until either the week before or the week after, or sorry, until either the week before or the day after Labor Day.
Yeah, see, I don't know what county -1's in, but it would be so awesome if somehow, right before school started, he came out and somehow helped Hangman, win this match. I think that would be such an awesome touch to Brody Lee.
That would be great. So if that's the case, and this is not an official prediction. I'm just curious, what two members of Dark Order would you have face the Young Bucks?
I would. I don't know. I kind of like Evil Uno and Grayson. Those are my two guys that stand out the most to me for the most part. I don't know. I don't know if they've ever worked together, in a legit tag team or not. Because again, I haven't watched a ton of the stuff on there. But those are the two that always kind of stand out the most to me. But like you said, there's so many guys on there. But it would be so cool to kind of just give a couple of guys who need a push that are good ring workers too. So you never know. But yeah, my big thing here is just I can't believe Hangman hasn't had the title yet. So I think now is the time to build him to have that title.
And of course, that's the big question is, assuming Hangman gets Kenny at All Out, does he win it All Out, or does he lose and then it starts to chase? Because there's been so much talk and speculation of could this be AEW's version of the Omega Dan Okada story, where Omega is playing Okada in this case. He's the one with the title, and you've got Hangman playing the Omega role, who keeps chasing and trying to get it. And there's, the closer we get to All Out, the more this conversation just intensifies, and it's like, what do you think? But
remind me again, what city is All Out in this year?
Chicago.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what match is, because someone's gonna walk out and just tear the friggin' house down.
Okay, well, that does bring me to a bonus point. This is a bonus point. I do have a prediction for this from Angel. So last week we Fightful reported that CM Punk was in serious talks with AEW, and then Cassidy Haynes from Body Slam reported that Bryan Danielson has signed with AEW. Yep. So, for a bonus point, do we see either one of them pop up on Fight for the Fallen this week?
If it would be anybody, it would be Bryan. It wouldn't be Punk. It's not the time for Punk. But no, it's not the time.
Okay. Well,
if you did it now, it would be obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlotte, right? They're in Charlotte.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Which is only a few hours for me. But no, Charlotte is not the place. No offense to Charlotte. Charlotte's got a rich history in wrestling. I mean, it is the birthplace of some amazing wrestlers, and by birthplace, I don't mean physical birth. I mean like where people learned to wrestle and got their name. But no, Charlotte is not the place. That is not the place that you do that pop in. At least not right now. Not without being built. There are, I mean, if they do anywhere other than Chicago for Punk, I'll lose my shit. But Brian, you can do it in multiple places. But I think it's too soon. There's no time. This card. Sorry, I'm pointing at my screen. This card needs all the attention it can get right now. This is a build our base card. Right, that's what this is. This is build up some guys that need to be built. If you bring out a Bryan Danielson right now, it'll completely take away from this entire card.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But the thing is that after last week, guys started saying that AEW is finally becoming what WWE has wanted to be for so long, where you feel like anything can happen in AEW, and like the sky is the limit. People are saying that that big show in New York at the Arthur Ashe Stadium, that's a spot to do Brian, and it's one of the things where it may be predictable to do it there. That doesn't make it wrong. That doesn't mean it doesn't mean it's too predictable. People
as long as you tell the right story.
Yeah.
Because what story do you have right here? I'm looking at this card. I can think of a couple places to stick him in, but wherever you can stick, the story's not done. If you stick him in the story, then the story on this card is done. Like you have to transition to something else, and there's nowhere to put him in this card short of just getting a cheap pop.
Unless, like you had mentioned before when talking about Jericho and Gage, unless it's like afterwards,
right?
Assuming Jericho wins that, then MJF says, "Hey, here's your next opponent," and then you hear either the Final Countdown or Flight of the Valkyries, and Bryan Danielson comes out, and that would be the only spot that I think would be the most logical.
And that's the highest volume spot too. Everything. I mean, there's no place for him in the match with the Elite and Hangman Page. There's no place for him with Lance Archer.
Yeah.
I mean, and then the other two matches are. I mean, as far as importance, again, I disagreed with you in the beginning, but they're lower end matches.
Yeah. Well, Angel does agree with you on both ends. I don't think I gave his thoughts, but he does think Hangman and Dark Order are going to win the match, and he also does not think that CM Punk or Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson will be appear. Which, by the way, whenever he shows up, poor Jim Ross is gonna have a hard time because he's gonna call him Daniel Bryan. He's gonna call him Daniel Bryan.
Just stick to the American Dragon.
He's gonna make. I mean, Sean Ross Sapp was saying on last week's Dynamite post show, like he kept saying Daniel Bryanson, or he kept getting wrong because he's been Daniel Bryan for so long, since like 2010, 11. I mean, over a decade he was in WWE as that name. That's what most people know him as, and that's why like there's been people that have been saying, oh, when he comes out, it should be to the Final Countdown, which is what he used in Ring of Honor. And my thought was, Flight of Valkyries is in the public domain, and they can get their own dumb guitar version of that song, right. or possibly even, I don't know what the legality of it is, possibly even use the WWE theme, because the fact of the matter is if people hear that, more people are going to recognize that. Now, the thing about that is that if it happens in right there at the Arthur Ashe Stadium in New York, that is a town that knows wrestling. That is a town that knows Ring of Honor and knew Ring of Honor back when Daniel Bryan was there. So Final Countdown might resonate with them. But it's the same argument with, does CM Punk come out to Killswitch Engage or Cult of Personality?
Cult of Personality.
Yeah, and that's what I think too. Simply because he used that for his 2 UFC matches. That's the song that he came out to.
Well, they're already in talks with getting that license too. There's rumors that they've already had those conversations.
I mean, there's a whole weird thing because that band, In Living Color, actually followed AEW and then unfollowed it, and there's all sorts of weird stuff going on Twitter right now.
I got a good question for you then.
All right.
So who gets a bigger pop?
Depends on what happens. If you do well, and I think it does. I think if you do it, I think if Punk debuts in Chicago, either
I'll feel it in Savannah if he debuts in Chicago.
Yeah. If Punk debuts in Chicago, either on that Dynamite Go Home show or at All Out, which is another big thing of like which should it be easily CM Punk. If you debut Punk somewhere other than there and Daniel Bryan at Arthur Ashe, I think Daniel Bryan. It really just kind of depends. If you're talking Daniel Bryan and Arthur Ashe or CM Punk in Chicago, it'd be CM Punk in Chicago, no question. The pop he got for his Money in the Bank, his 5-star Money in the Bank match was insane.
See, I disagree. I think it's Punk no matter what. I love Bryan Danielson. I love the guy, and I'm so just watching him work his way back and just fight to get back into it. But I think Punk, because he's been out of the game for so long, and people have just been clamoring. Now, if Daniel Bryan had never wrestled again in WWE and his contract ended and he got cleared, then Bryan Danielson then 100% gets the pop. But he's already wrestled again. He's won the title again. He's had a heel turn. He's had a face turn. I think Punk takes it no matter what.
See, there's people that have said, and I know because on the Discord that I'm on, there's people that said this: Punk losing in UFC, and one of them losing to a journalist has really taken the shine off of Punk for them, because they're like, I'm more excited for Bryan Danielson than I am for Punk, just because I've seen Punk not do like an actual shoot fight and get his clocks cleaned and lose to a journalist, which to me is like there is a big difference between doing MMA and doing like wrestling, like Punk in a amateur wrestling match, I think could beat a lot of MMA guys. It's just a different type of fight. Yeah. It's a different type of thing.
Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like I lose no respect for him. Actually, I gain a ton of respect for him even trying. And he used his name to get a UFC. He had no right to get a UFC contract. He did not deserve a UFC contract, but he used his name and notoriety to get one.
Yeah.
The fact that he got in one of those rings and did that, dude, more power to him.
And made some good money. And made some really good money.
Yeah, I could go back and watch that match with him and John Cena. The title for title match. I could watch that match over and over and over and over and never ever get tired of it. To watch him work in the ring, he's a freaking master.
Yeah, I have not yet watched their Money in the Bank match. That was in a period of time where I wasn't really watching wrestling. I was paying attention to what was going on, but I wasn't really watching. I have yet to go back and actually watch that match. But I think
that's a match. If anybody ever says to you, John Cena can't wrestle, that's a match you show them.
Oh, well, that, and I mean the matches that he had with Styles as well. I mean, those are probably some of my all-time favorite matches. Is the trio of matches he put on with Styles at Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, and then the Rumble for the title. And then a year later they did a match on SmackDown, which was also really good. Not as good because by that time it's like, okay, they've done it this 3 times now, but it was still a really good match.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to see what they do with them. I hope they don't pull a friggin' Miro. Please don't pull a Miro.
I don't think they will. And the thing is that AEW, they know how to book the legends, if you want to call CM Punk a legend. They know how to book people like that a heck of a lot better than WWE does. I mean, look at how they've handled Jake Roberts and Tully Blanchard and Sting.
Roberts just signed a new contract too. I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah. And they book Sting so well, and yet this past Wednesday he took some of the most brutal shots and kicks I've ever seen. I mean, my gosh, man's got a family, guys. Come on.
Yeah, but it's nice to see that though, and it's nice to see.
Yeah.
I think, and he's the guy to put the right talent over. I mean, that's the thing. And then Cage, give Cage his couple little runs for a little while, and then use him to put other guys over. That's just what has to happen. That's what these guys need to do.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, that was our predictions for AEW Fight for the Fallen. They are locked in, and like we said, if anything gets added to the show before the show, then Angel will both DM Tad with your predictions for it, which is actually kind of nice because then it's more of a secret because you can go through all 5 of the matches and you go, okay, well I know who won based on this. But if they add another match, I was like, "Ooh, now I don't know how it's going to go." If the show's going on and then they suddenly add a match, that will be Tad's call of whether or not he wants predictions for it or not. Most of the time he does. It all depends on how quickly it happens. But we shall see. That, of course, this Wednesday night at 8:00 from Charlotte, North Carolina. Looks to be a great card, a great event, and should be good stuff. AEW, ever since they got out of Daly's place, they've really been on a roll lately with their shows. So, well, thank you very much for joining me for this. This was a ton of fun. And the next matchup will be SummerSlam, I believe. Actually, it's going to be a twofer because we're going to do SummerSlam, and then the next day afterwards we have Takeover 36. So
that's a good one.
Yeah. So Throwback. I don't know if you want to announce who the names are for those right now. If you want to pop in a second. I could tell you were like waiting for your chance to pop in.
Well, I mean, I've got a couple of questions because I've known Sloan for years. So, first off, everybody's fighting for what's on my shoulder, so that's going to be good. And give it to whoever wins to it. Anakin has already moved the next round. Drew has a mystery opponent on SummerSlam. The name the person chose is going by is King of All Worlds. It's just a moniker that they use. And then we have Rob Wilkins versus, oh God, I make these things all the time now. I feel like I'm like freaking Vince McMahon, just younger.
Just don't wait the show 5 minutes before.
Oh, I don't. But Rob's going against the second chance, very dangerous Ray Callahan at TakeOver. And we might end up, me and Tad are going to talk about maybe throwing another match into that because, well, we got to speed up this process because, TakeOver's there'll probably another TakeOver in between besides War Games. But other than that, I mean, you got a lot of people to go through, my friend, and you've known me for a long time, so I know how competitive you are. But the man above you right now, in the way the screen is already in the second round. Do you have any words for Anakin going into the second round?
No, I mean just be happy you didn't go against me in the first round. You're in the second round. So I mean, I'll see you. Am I going to see him in the second round, or is he in my bracket? I didn't even look at the bracket. That's how confident I am. I don't even look at the bracket.
He's going against Ron Patel. He's going against Ron Patel in the War Games, and after that, we've got Wrestle Kingdom Night 1 and 2 and Royal Rumble twice. So we're going to have a 4-way, 2 matches going at the Rumble because, well, it's a Royal Rumble. Why not?
Yeah.
But there is a chance. But you have watched the show recently. And what do you think about the head of the table, the tribal chief, Drew Nicholas?
My mom always told me if I have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Just let RJ City speak for you. I think he did enough.
All right, guys. So with that being said, just do a good deed, pay it forward. We got a couple of matches coming down the pipe for you. If there's anything coming down, we'll let you know. So just have a good night.
Appreciate
See
it.
you guys later.
Thank you.